What up, Geekdom? This is Chipmunk doing another reaction. Today we are reacting to 10 wrestlers who didn't fit great factions from Parts Fun Known channel. Yeah, if you know me, one of the things that I geek out on is like different sports and wrestling, which is sports entertainment, I guess, for some people. WWE goes. But wrestling to me is a sport because you have to be somewhat of an athlete in order to do a whole bunch of the things that they do. So yeah, and I like factions, especially WWE back in the Attitude Era had a lot of factions. I'm a big fan of factions and stuff. AEW is one that tries to do factions and try to do unique ones. I think they kind of dropped the ball when it comes to factions. They don't even do stories well enough to drop off the factions that they've dropped off, or to start factions that they start up. It seems like stuff usually comes out of nowhere. To me, it seems like stuff comes out of nowhere, just because I don't see any like backstage segments to set some of this stuff up, or nothing shows to set some of this stuff up. And there's been some breakups in groups and stuff that I'm like, what happened to the group? So I love factions. Factions, Bullet Club has been a top one for the last many years. You say Shield, The New Day, DX is a very popular one from back in the day. The NWO. So yeah, a lot of factions have happened. A lot of good ones. So I'm interested to see what the list is. If this is going off of the old school factions, or if this is any time, any era. So we'll definitely see. Let's go ahead and check these out.
Everybody has that friend in the group that just doesn't quite fit in. Maybe they entered the friend group late, maybe they have a completely different style, maybe they just tag along with their partner and no one is honest enough to tell Janet that her new boyfriend makes everyone uncomfortable. I can't stand that guy. Not all groups can be thick as thieves, and a lot of the time in wrestling, it's easy to look at the police lineup of a great faction and pluck one dude or dudette out who just feels out of place. One of these wrestlers is not like the other. One of these wrestlers just doesn't belong. It's too many syllables. Yeah, we're picking on folks who didn't fit in today, kind of like a Canadian dude wearing a mask amongst a group of Brits that he's still never met. I'm Tempest, hailing from Parts Fun Known, and these are 10 wrestlers who didn't
Why
fit
you doing
in
wrestling talk like that, bro?
You could be on this list too. You don't quite fit the faction of people that aren't subscribed to Parts Fun Known, but there's a very easy fix. Just hit that subscribe button and enable notifications so you never miss a
He doesn't seem to fit. Like this. He doesn't.
Honorary mention, Kurt Angle, The Shield. Here comes Seth, here comes Dean, and here comes Kurt in tactical gear with the biggest, goofiest smile on his face. An honorary Shield member of sorts, but he just looks so damn happy about it. I treasure Kurt Angle. Number 10, Hornswoggle, DX. In 2006, Shawn Michaels was a dude in his 40s, pretending to be a dude in his 30s, pretending to be 14. By the time 2009 and the 39th of 86 DX reunions took place, Shawn Michaels and Triple H instead tried pretending to be 6. They'd say their rivals were, quote, like butts. Sick burn, guys. I really hope this PG thing catches on. But the full transformation of PGX came with the introduction of Hornswoggle as team mascot. Granted, this was very much a kid's show at the time, but now DX was crawling under the ring into Hornswoggle's little person dimension so they could attend little people's court, and let's just say it wasn't my cup of tea.
Hey, that's a British thing, right, guys?
Number 9, Evil.
Yeah, I would say,
It's not every day I get to sneak a New Japan entry into one of these. It's the little things in life. Bullet Club was the desktop wallpaper of half the IWC from 2014 to 2018.
I agree totally with this. Evil doesn't fit with Bullet Club.
The uber popular heel faction sold
I would like him to
merch
turn
by
on
the
Bullet
time
Club
2020 rolled around.
in his
All the
group that
merch
he's
sellers
with.
were gone, and New Japan tasked career goth mid-carder Evil with
Should
leading the group.
just do their own
Evil
thing.
goes deeper than simply not fitting. His introduction coincides directly with a massive plummet in interest in the group that had been trending downwards since the Elite's departure. Bullet Club had been moving away from the outsider status that they'd built their name on, but since Evil has taken over, it has been unrecognizable. It's fine to take the group in a new direction. You just might want to make sure that direction isn't going to be part of the reason for the massive drop in interest in your promotion first. He's the only leader not to live up to his predecessors, and that's just a bummer. Number 8, Bam Neely, La Familia. All together now.
I'm trying to remember.
Who? With Bam Neely being a developmental call-up from 2008, of course I know everything about who he is and what he's about, because 2008 was a great year and somehow I recorded all of it to memory, but only the wrestling, not the politics or recession. Bam Neely debuted on ECW the week after WrestleMania 24 as Chavo Guerrero's bodyguard, slotting himself into top heel faction La Familia. You
I don't
wouldn't
remember
expect
him in La
Chavo Guerrero's
Familia.
ECW bodyguard to play a major factor in a group like this? Oh, there's no but. He didn't play any factor in the group. Also, I have to think his name
I
is
do not
derived from
remember him in La
Bam
Familia.
Neely, but part
That
of
is
my
crazy.
theory, it's very difficult to find things to say about Bam Neely. La Familia was an awesome heel faction thanks to the chemistry between Edge and Vicky Guerrero, and future Impact rivals the Edgeheads doing the grunt work. Speaking of Impact, Chavo was never pushed again after visiting the Impact Zone before Mania, so it seems more odd that that was the time they chose to give him a heater. His nickname could have been Bam Bam. Bam 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 Neely. Number 7, Jimmy Garvin, the Fabulous Freebirds. Now, before any
I don't
Jimmy
remember
Garvin
this at all.
fans come out
But,
and lunch for my
yeah, it's
throat,
always
this is
interesting
not
the ones who
regarding
are
any of the
put in
Freebirds'
groups
golden years. They
that
were
you
one
can't
of the best
remember
factions
whatsoever.
of all time and drew a ton of money, but by the time 1989 rolled around and the Freebirds found themselves in Crockett country, they weren't drawing money anymore. Granted, there's a few reasons for that. Terry Gordy was primarily working in Japan, and Buddy Roberts stayed in World Class Championship Wrestling before retiring from the ring. What was left was the duo of Michael Hayes, the freest of all birds, but not a strong worker in the ring, and Jimmy Garvin, who had to be the star of the show to make up for it. Nothing against Jimmy Garvin, he was a talented performer, but when you think of the Fabulous Freebirds, you think of the riots against the Von Erichs with Terry Gordy and Buddy
Yep.
Roberts and Michael Hayes cutting promos. Garvin got much larger and tried to work a much more dominant style, but as a 5'10 guy in 1989, it was a hard sell. If you're driving home and you ask your mom to stop for Fabulous Freebirds and she says you have Fabulous Freebirds at home, this was the Fabulous Freebirds at home. Number 6, Sunny, the Legion of Doom. It really is easier to remember the Road Warriors at their peak. Probably the coolest tag team of all time, WWE could never figure out exactly how to get Akam and Razor over. Pardon me, I meant Hanson and Rowe. Wow, that's not right either. There's a lot of these. I strongly considered putting Rocco, the stupid ventriloquist puppet, on this list, but as much as Sonny isn't a wrestler, the puppet isn't even human, even if it does have Paul Eller's hand up its ass. Likewise, with Draws, Crush, and Heidenreich, none of these guys really fit the group either, but at the very least, they were big dudes who could throw you around. That's basically all the Road Warriors did. They were just cooler about it. Sonny became Hawk and Animal's manager as part of LOD 2000 at WrestleMania 14, and while she was a more than capable manager, the Road Warriors weren't the type of team to fit with a hot blonde. I also don't have any jokes to say about Sonny. I can't find amusement in it right now. Don't drive drunk, people. Number 5, Manu, Legacy. Great might be a stretch when talking about Legacy, but they were a solid enough heel faction for a couple years there. This was probably the best period of Randy Orton's career, and he had a pair of young guns.
I wouldn't say it
to
was his best,
a pre-pubescent
but it was a pretty
Ted
good one.
DiBiase and
And
Cody Rhodes had Orton's back.
Manu was a
Maybe
Samoan,
forget the
right?
faction's origins involved a pair of other stars looking to solidify their legacies. One of which was son of Wild Samoan Alpha and
I was
cousin
like,
of Roman Reigns,
he
Manu,
was
who
less
debuted at Unforgiven
memorable.
2008 and joined forces with Rhodes and DiBiase.
I was
Just
like,
was priceless at the time. At first, it seemed as if that was your trio, but Rhodes and DiBiase were violent.
Again, he was someone you can't remember.
WWE's plans didn't involve their newest member of the Rock's family. According to Cody Rhodes, Manu wasn't told about this and was about as excited as you would be if you reached level 987413 in Mouse Quest. This very much seemed like WWE pulled the plug on Manu and fellow list candidate Sim Snuka because as Legacy was christened with their beatdown, Manu was never seen again, and Sim Snuka would go on to be part of one of the most famous WrestleMania botches of all time. I'm sure they were told to let it play out. Number 4, Paul Roma, the Four Horsemen. The job guy from WWE? Those are not my words. Those are the words of one Triple H, utterly befuddled by the inclusion of no-name Paul Roma being welcomed into the esteemed Four Horsemen in 1993. Roma had been part of Power and Glory in WWE alongside Hercules Hernandez. I mean, Hernandez definitely brought the power. I'm not sure Roma supplied much glory. They didn't win many matches together, often losing to the Rockers, so Roma's immediate inclusion in what was considered by many to be the greatest wrestling faction of all time went over about as well as an acid rain shower after your last shift of the bowling alley. Considering this is WCW in the year 1993 we're talking about, we're lucky it was only this bad and they didn't try and put the Shockmaster in the group while they were at it. I mean, it sounds crazy, but so does trying to say Paul Roma was a Four Horseman caliber star with less build-up than WrestleMania 38. Number 3, Samoa Joe, the Main Event Mafia. I may love the main event Mafia ironically, but I still love them. The people writing TNA Wrestling in 2008 had gotten tired of hearing Dixie Carter talk about all the people she used to watch on TV, so they just decided to put them all together in one group. That's not true, but it makes sense to me. Kurt Angle led the way.
I understand that Samoa Joe, as far as him being younger, didn't fit.
The story was pretty simple. The veterans were tired of being disrespected by the TNA originals and banded together to rule the main event scene. A good start to an angle, but as was the case for most of the TNA era, a good start didn't guarantee a satisfactory ending. I usually find these kind of factions lose a lot of steam when you start fiddling with the people in it, and that's exactly what happened when TNA original Samoa Joe joined the group at Slammiversary 2009. Nation of Violence, face tattoo, machete-wielding Samoa Joe at that. The worst version of Samoa Joe. This is where the faction fell apart, merged with Eric Young's World Elite, and fizzled out, and it really was because Joe didn't fit, and his inclusion forced the group to become just another bunch of heels, no longer joined by a common goal. Go back and listen to that theme though. A banger. Do 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 do. Eo, eo, eo. Number 2, Randy Orton, the Wyatt family. Before we had the spooky bollocks, before we had
interesting.
We had Randy Orton being.
I don't know why, but I actually like the
introduction of the brand split.
Him as part of the Wyatt.
Bray Wyatt. Oh boy, a new young star to work with. I'm sure we'll have so many great wrestling matches together. A particularly jovial Randy Orton surely said to himself as the taste of black sludge suddenly appeared in his mouth. Orton's rivalry and team with Bray Wyatt.
Well, I think you could have put a lot of different people in the Wyatt family by the same way of him controlling them,
but he didn't have whatever power because Orton was tricking him. Then what were the eyes, Randy? What were the eyes? Orton's time as an undercover agent tearing the Wyatt family apart from the inside was fruitful, but while it was happening, it was very hard to look at Randy Orton.
They kind of, to me, killed that story.
R.I.P. Love you, Brody.
They could have made it way better than they did.
Spooky was put a hoodie on. He didn't even put the hood up half the time. And number 1, Mark Jindrak, Evolution. Haha, not really. I mean, kinda, but no, not really. And number 1, Sting, the NWO. I don't care if it was the NWO Red and Black. I don't care if they were the babyface side of the group. The man called Sting should never be in the NWO. There have been a lot of entries to this point where the guy just wasn't.
I think when I was younger, I liked it more.
On the principle of the matter. Because honestly, if half of Bullet,
I grew up on like the Monday Night Wars
of the NWO sure could be.
And there was no I like Sting as part. I did like Sting as part of NWO back when I was younger.
And he'd been built up as the chief adversary of the NWO for over a year before his match with Hulk Hogan at Starrcade '97. You know, the dumb one. To just throw that away for the sake of adding another shock member to the NWO gives me serious McMahon shaking hands with Austin vibes. The only difference being Austin was the biggest star of the biggest company at its peak, and here the NWO had already passed its peak, so it didn't have the same significance it would have.
I think as a kid,
you tend to in a Vikings jersey makes me sick to
not think about some of the bigger details and bigger information.
And if my very personal and not at all
being shown and told,
doesn't pull at your
so when you see certain stuff, it doesn't bother you as much as you would if you were an adult.
Red and Black Sting is the worst Sting. And that's our list.
Yeah, Sting was one of those that I did like in the NWO when I was younger. Again, I have to go back through that whole era just to get a good feel of that time again as an adult to see if, this was pretty ridiculous and stuff like that. Because usually that happens. Because you tend to see things way different when you're a kid than you see as an adult. And then another one would be the Austin and McMahon team up thing. Austin going heel. I liked that era a lot. I liked Austin as a heel. It brought out one of my favorite theme music from him, the Disturbed Glass Shattered song. As a kid, it was pretty fun seeing these guys, but as an adult, a lot of people didn't like it, stuff like that. But just seeing him as a kid, Austin as a heel, I liked it. I liked Austin as a heel. But that's my opinion. I like Sting and NWO, but that's just my opinion. Especially as a kid. Now I was like, I don't know. But this is pretty rare. I think they could have put whatchamacallit on the list just because it was put out of the group really quickly. I don't think Kurt Angle should have been an honorable mention or even mentioned at all because he was temporary. I don't think temporaries should be put as part of a group to say that they didn't fit in the faction. So, yeah. But a lot of these I agree with. So, Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments below. If you like this video, please put a like on the video. If you'd like to subscribe and see some more of my content, please do. Thank you all so much for jumping on and giving me a try. I really do appreciate it. Please do take care of yourselves and each other. Peace, geekdom.